everyone. Thank you for attending. For those that don't know me, my name is Mia Lee. I'm the Manager for Health, Safety and Wellness here at Baptcare. So acknowledging that these are really difficult times at the moment for Baptcare and obviously for our industry wide. So today we've partnered with the Nursing and Midwifery Health Program of Victoria to facilitate this session for you. So this is a health and wellbeing session. It's so important that during these times that we do take the time to take care of ourselves and in particular our wellbeing. So I'll introduce you to Glenn Taylor. So Glenn is the CEO of the Nursing Midwifery Health Program of Victoria. So he'll talk about who they are, what they do, and how they can help. All right, so over to you, Glenn. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to meet with you today. And before we get started, I'd just like to acknowledge that we're all going through difficult times, but some in our workforce and our community are going through very difficult times. So I appreciate that it's been a really challenging set of circumstances that you are working in your workplace. So just to acknowledge that, I think it's important. As Nia said, I'll be talking a bit about who we are, what we do, what we can offer, and also put a bit of context around the circumstances based on our role of being a recipient of lots of people's phone calls and support, just to give that context. So the Nursing and Midwifery Health Program Victoria was set up in 2006, and it was designed by nurses, provided by nurses, and delivered to and made available to nurses and midwives and students around Victoria. What we do is we provide confidential, safe, independent support to nurses and midwives and students for any issue or matter. So it may be related to their, what we call mental health concerns, which could be what we roughly talk about as being high prevalence things. So mood disorders, anxiety, stress. So things which all of our society, but particularly nurses and midwives, have a strong susceptibility toward, given that the work that we do, and I am a nurse also, I must add. We also provide support to nurses and midwives who are experiencing issues with their alcohol and drug concerns. They may be using that as a coping mechanism, maybe in unsafe circumstances at home, so around family violence and those sorts of things. So we don't do the face-to-face work with family violence, but we consider ourselves a safe entry point into the system, service system for all of our callers. And we know who to and how to refer on. So for those types of matters, the people who work in the organisation are all nurses or midwives, and they all have experience in counselling and postgraduate qualifications in mental health or alcohol and drug use. The support that we provide is what we call generalist counselling. So we are, as I said, we consider ourselves to be a safe entry point into the service system where anyone can call and feel that their information is safe and we can be trusted. And it's usually about just people making a call and just speaking about what's happening for them. No problem's too big or too small. And then one of us will take the call and work through the matter and try and help resolve, or at least provide them with some strategies which are going to help them to ideally improve their health and well-being. So it's really what you would refer to as a simple counselling service, counselling support service. We're very skilled at recognising where our scope starts and finishes. So if we encounter someone who has a quite complex or detailed or concerning matter that falls outside of our scope, then we have a trusted group of resources and services and individuals who we can refer to. So that's a bit of background about the organisation and what we do. Not long ago, we were approached by the Department of Health and Human Services to request if we could extend our support to personal care workers who are working in residential aged care in Victoria. And after some consideration, our board agreed to do this. So we'll be providing individual support to personal care workers who are located and working in residential aged care throughout Victoria for the next 6 months, so up until the end of February. And what that will look like for anyone in that position can call us, and we'll provide them with what we call a brief intervention and referral support system. And that's basically the same as what you would do, or what a nurse or a midwife would do, is just give us a call. The person who answers the call will be skilled in taking these sorts of calls. They'll ask the person very basic questions, so name, phone number, location, occupation or role that they play. And then that information will be forwarded onto one of our clinicians, who will then make a phone call to that person and then start that process. As I said, it is free, it is confidential, and it is independent. So the information that's provided over the phone to us is held very carefully. There can be times when that information, or where the person, if there's concerns about the person's safety, or there's concerns about other people's safety in the care of that person, that there may be a need to break that confidentiality, but that's very rare. And our role is to try to break down the barriers to encourage people to safely call and seek support when they need it, so that they can use that when it's needed. And because quite often when we're in these sort of bubbles and we stay in our head for too long, these problems can become quite big in our own mind, and they may not necessarily be big, but we certainly believe that matters which are addressed sooner than later is a better way to proceed. So this is the offer that is available to you and your colleagues in the settings that you're working in. I thought it would be helpful for you to get some feedback from us, from me, as to what we're hearing mostly from nurses and midwives, but certainly from some personal care workers throughout this pandemic period. And just to reinforce, the period of 6 months is sort of hopefully to cover that pandemic period. So the sort of things, and these are basically quotes that we're hearing, we've heard on a number of occasions. So I thought I'd just feed these back to you. So some of the concerns or complaints or feedback that we've received include grief and loss about the caller or the nurse or the midwife or the PCW, their loss about their normal lives, regarding the changes and there's been many, whether that be work-related changes or personal-related changes to their lives. The stress related to the recent spike in community transmission and what that's meant for them. The stigma that's associated associated to us or with us as healthcare providers, and somehow our implication in that. Are we being blamed for that? And that could we have done a better job, for example? With that comes the judgment. So it's very easy for people who are ill-informed to make judgment about people like us who are doing the best they can under the circumstances they're within. But sometimes that judgment is levelled at us and at you. Blame for bad practice, what we're calling survivor guilt. So this is where people are looking at others who they might know, or people that work in the same profession or occupation as them, and they're okay and they're safe, but being concerned about their colleagues, and then feeling guilty that, could they have done more, or why isn't it happening to me? These sorts of thoughts and feelings. Feeling as though they're not doing enough to help, whether that be in the workplace or at home. Fear of the new normal and what might that look like. So what is life going to look like for me after this is all over? And hopefully it will be very soon. Will my job still exist in the future, or what will my job look like in the future? Feeling their careers may have been derailed because of this. This includes often younger people who are just starting out in the job and haven't had an opportunity to settle into the job or the workplace. Or it could be people who were thinking about approaching retirement at some stage, but this may sort of have an impact on that. The media focus can be quite an unsettling thing as well. We've had feedback that say, you know, we're not angels, we're just regular people, we're not superhuman. And that's certainly the case. You know, we're flesh and blood like the rest of society. Our roles, however, require us to do a very special job. And it's sometimes people feel it's unhelpful to be referred to as an angel. The other thing that that the media can do can blow things up a little bit, a bit out of proportion, which can make the reporting worse, or sometimes seem better than what's actually happening on the ground. So sometimes what you think and what you feel in your local workplace might be very different to what you're hearing out in the media. So we kind of suggest that people try and switch off from the media sometimes, because it can be quite overwhelming. Obviously, there's the fear of contracting COVID themselves. That's something that's coming through loud and clear. And then what I could do then to spread it. May I spread it to my family or my friends? And how would I feel if that was the case? So that's a very common concern that we're hearing down the phone. Fear of uncertainty about what COVID will bring into the world, and how the world will be impacted, and you know how I might be locked in Victoria or Melbourne, Victoria, and then will I be able to travel and see family and friends abroad, and when will that possibly happen? And we've heard some stories where people have been locked away or kept separated from their family because families overseas because of this. Homeschooling is obviously a really big issue for a lot of people, and that must. I'm not having to do that, but it must be an incredibly enormous challenge to go home from work and then to work again and continue to do that work and other work. And obviously, usually nurses, midwives, and personal care workers are usually the sort of go-to carer person in their family as well. So if someone's sick, or if there's a concern, or if there's a health issue, or there's a pandemic, we, as the health worker in the family, are often the first person to be called and say, you know, can you tell us what's going on? Do you know what's going on? Can you help us with this? So there's a bit of a burden, and that could be with related to our parents or our children or our siblings or other friends and families who might be unwell. So we might have to care for them as well. So what we're hearing is really just quite a combined mess, really, for some people who are trying to work at home, work at work, and then be hearing the messages coming in from the media, and the uncertainty. And certainly Victoria appears to be quite unique, and there's a bit of controversy around that. So I just wanted to highlight these things, because I'd be surprised if everyone in the room wasn't experienced or hadn't experienced some of these. And my message to you is that to hear these things and to feel these things and to think these things are normal. But what we want to try and do is to address these things, what we're calling our red flags, because these things can have an impact on our health and well-being. So when we talk about red flags, it's about really trying to get a good clarity, get clear about what's normal for me. So if I'm usually a quiet, reserved sort of person, but I'm more quiet and reserved, if I'm usually an outgoing person, but I've sort of withdrawn, and I mean, when I say withdrawn, I don't necessarily mean physically, but emotionally or connecting. I'm not connecting with other people, then that might be a red flag to me that I'm not doing so well. If my sleeping's become impacted, so if I can't get to sleep, if I can't stay asleep, if I can't go back to sleep, that could be a red flag for me. If my appetite has dropped off, or if I'm overeating, that might be a red flag. If I'm constantly thinking about what's happening in our society or in my workplace, and I can't stop that thinking, and it's distracting, and to the point where I can't concentrate on my job or on my family and friends and things like that, then that could be a red flag. If I'm finding anxiety or stress when I think about going to work, that could be a red flag. If I'm worried about other people to the point that I'm very concerned about their health and well-being, and that might be a bit out of context, and that might be a red flag. So the whole concept of that is to really just highlight to you that these sort of, what's going on in our world at the moment is likely to have an impact on our health and well-being. That is normal. But we want to try and address this as quickly as possible, because we don't want this to become something that, something which just starts off this big to become this big. So it's very important that we reach out for help. Now, it doesn't have to be our service that people reach out for, but it's important that you do reach out for help. So it might be your GP. It's always good to have a good GP. And the GP can provide that sort of immediate initial support, but they can also provide you with what's called a mental health care plan, which you may or may not know about. And this is something that the government subsidises face-to-face personal counselling with counselling specialists like psychologists, for example. And it's extended up until 20 sessions. So that support is available to you. Baptcare will have, and I know has specific sort of chaplaincy support. There's an EAP provider attached to your employer. And I'd also encourage you to, if it's something that resonates with you or you can relate to, is that a lot of people are connecting with their faith at the moment. So whether that be organised faith, where they go to and they practice that faith, or whether it's something within that they call upon and they find comfort and solace in that, it's important that we do whatever it is at the moment and reach out to whoever it is we need to at the moment to get that support. I'm also interested, because you're all doing things which are beneficial to you. So you don't need someone like me to tell you everything that you need to do. Today's really about introducing you to some new concepts, which I'll show you shortly. But every single one of you, by virtue of the fact that you're doing the job you're doing, when you think about the job you do, it's so multi-purposed and so multi-layered, and there's so much going on. And under normal circumstances, you do a great job. And under these circumstances, you're doing a really good job. So we're not discounting what you already do. And every single person in this room has been through some sort of adversity in the past. So I'd encourage you to think back on an episode or an occasion where you went through adversity and you came through the other side. So what did you do? Who did you involve? What was good about it? What could you do again? So these sort of things are really important, because we can learn from that. What wasn't helpful? Don't do that again. So this is an opportunity for you to reflect on the resilience is the word, I guess, the resilience that you have, and to think about the people involved, the actions you took, and how you could maybe replicate those things again and do those things again, because it makes sense. How we start is really important, because usually there's no one in this room, including myself, who's not fearful about the future. And it's normal to have, slight fear, trepidation about the future because it's unknown. But at the moment, it's pretty common and pretty okay to have a bit of fear about the future, because we just don't know what's going on. Fear is the one thing that's going to hold us back from doing the things that we need to do. So we need to just sort of try and work through that, because once we start the ball rolling, then it becomes a lot easier. And the thing that stops us and prevents us from taking action is the fear, and it's in our head. So, and that's why staying in our head is not a good idea. And talking to somebody else, reflecting, debriefing, talking about my day, sharing something about what happened, and not necessarily something negative that happened, but potentially something positive that happened as well. Because in all the things that you're doing in your workplace, every single day, you're doing great things. You're still looking after people, and it's a very privileged job. These people rely on you. They rely on us for their health and their well-being needs. So don't ever minimise the facts or reduce the impact, reduce the thinking about the impact that you're having on the people you're caring for. That's a really important thing. What I might do now is take you through our website, just give you a bit of a guided tour, so that you can see the sort of things that are available to you, and things which I'd really encourage you to lock into. or to at least go and have a look at. So this is our website. It's regularly updated. The tile here, this blue tile in the middle, which I'm circling, this is what we call our COVID webpage. Our COVID webpage has got a number of resources and supports, services, information, specialists, whole sort of range of stuff, which you can go to. And what we've found in this whole thing is that we've been flooded with information, and sometimes when we're flooded with information, it just gets overwhelming, so we don't do anything. So what we've done is we've sifted through it, and we've come up with some things which we've felt are helpful, and I'll let you go through that yourself. It's there's too much there for us to go through now. The other thing that we've designed since this started, or prior to the starting, was our health and wellbeing page. This talks about this page, by the way, just gives you an introduction to our organisation. But if you go to health and wellbeing, that link up here, hit on this, and it will take you to our health and wellbeing toolkit page. And halfway down there on the left-hand side, is I'm circling there, is what we call our self-care plan. If you hit on the self-care plan, this will take you to a specific page. You can subscribe to our newsletter if you would like. And this is our health and wellbeing toolkit self-care plan. Now, what we're used to doing as nurses, midwives, and personal care workers is having a care plan for our residents, our patients, our clients. So this is really just our own self-care plan, and we've set it up so it's very easy to use. This first page just outlines the purpose, what you can hope to get, and just some details about protecting your information, so you can feel confident that that's okay. The next page, the first page, really about this is just asks you some questions, and it gives you an opportunity. Just in the middle of the page, it asks you to list 3 activities that you reckon you could do to improve your health and wellbeing. And it might be something like going for a morning walk, reducing my alcohol intake, eating more healthily, connecting with my family and friends. So whatever it is for you, that is helpful. And then I won't populate this because we don't have time, but you just go through that. It takes you to the next page, and there's a commitment there you can make, and then it asks you for your email address, and it'll send you the plan in its form that you've recorded, that you've said that you want to do. And the thing with this is that once you put it onto a page like that and it sends you an email, it sort of becomes real. And what we're hoping that people will do is that they will make an intention to commit to those strategies or those ideas that they can use to help their own health and well-being. You can print it off and put it on your fridge. You can keep it on your phone. You can share it with your family. And the other thing with this too is that your family and friends can also use this. Anyone can use this. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be a nurse, midwife, or personal care worker to use this. So I would encourage you to share this with as many people as you would like, because it's been proven to be quite a helpful strategy. And a lot of people have fed back to us that they've felt better for doing it. I'll just take you back to that page again, and just here on the right hand side is the resource toolkit, and this is again 20 odd pages of resources that you can access, and most of these things are free. This is what it looks like. We've got the elements down the left hand side here. For example, we might just take mental and emotional health. That'll take us down to that page. We look at burnout, for example, which is at the bottom of the page, and we can click a link. So all that information is just at your fingertips. It's free, it's easy to access, and ideally, helpful for your health and well-being. So that's the thing that I really wanted to encourage you to have a look at, because it's really easy to use. It's very practical. There's no cost involved, and you can use it in your own time. I think that's about as much as I needed to share at the moment. We've also got pretty extensive, we're pretty prolific on Facebook, Twitter, and we have other information. We've got newsletters, a news directory. So there's something here for everybody, we think. Our website is www.nmhp.org.au, and our contact details are very simple. It's one number, so it's 94157551. We're open between 8:30 and 5, Monday to Friday. But you see at the bottom of this page here, you can email us an inquiry or a question or a request to call you back. Just leave the details and we'll get back to you. That's our office. We're located in Richmond, but we haven't been working. I'm coming into the office, but I'm the only one at the moment. We're all working from home through telephone, so the person you'll be speaking to will be located there. So just to recap, you have access to this service for the next 6 months until the end of February. So don't hesitate to give us a call. If you're concerned about another person, whether that be a colleague or someone else who works in the nursing midwifery or the personal care area, you can give us a call. Otherwise, I hope that this has been helpful. If you did have any questions, you can contact us by phone or by email.
Thank you so much, Glenn. We appreciate you taking the time to speak to us today. And look, just want to encourage staff as well. And also, if you have colleagues, recommend the service that Glenn has spoken to today. And by all means, please reach out if you do need some help. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Matt.
Have a good day.